Okay, this is a demonstration to show you how to create your design for the passive amplifier that you're going to make. We need to do it in Fusion 360 first, so you've got a good idea how we're going to actually build the unit and also to work out some measurements. Okay, so the first thing we do when we're going to start a new design is go to Create Sketch. And we decide which surface we want to work on. I'm going to click on this one, so we're working from the front. And what I want to do is to now click on the sketch menu and pick the most appropriate tool for our design. Now we're going to use the center rectangle tool for this first part here. So as you can see, I'm just going to zoom out a bit there. So first, we need to be 210 for the width of the material. Okay, I'll zoom out again using the mouse roller ball, and then the height of the piece of wood, you need to press the tab so we can change and jump between those two measurements, and the height will be 70. Okay, so 210 by 70. Excellent. So that's going to be our back panel. We need to give this a thickness now. So I'm going to click on this house menu just on the left hand side of the box here. It'll put it in 3D. It just makes it easier to see. And then I'm going to go to Create and Extrude. The shortcut is E. So click on that. Now the thickness of the material that we are working with is 10 millimeters. So I've selected the profile. If you make a mistake or whatever you're doing, you can turn that off. So select the profile. I want it to be one-sided, and I want the distance to be 10 millimeters. And we want a new body here, and I just press OK. All right, so that's our first panel. Now, there's going to be, it's sort of like a laminated design. So we need to create another sketch now on here so that we can start building the second panel. So first things first, I go to Create Sketch again. And rather than pick the profile areas here, I'm going to pick on this surface here. Okay, move that into the middle so we can see. Now again, I'm going to create a sketch. Now you have to start from scratch. So this time I can just simply, whoops, something went wrong there, so I'll press escape. And actually I'll just use the same one I used before. So from the center, and it should just snap to the measurements that are already there. Now on this sketch, we need to put some other features on, like where the phone's going to go and where the sound will be heard from. So what we do, I'm going to measure the width of my phone, and it is 70 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is go to Sketch again, rectangle, 2-point rectangle this time. And notice how, because we've centered our rectangle here, I've got a center line that I can work with. So if I click on that, and I want to go down about 15. Okay, let's go 50. Now, if we wanted to amend these measurements or we've made a mistake, we can go back and do these later, so don't worry. And then half of 70, 35. And that's our first rectangle there. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Shortcut R for rectangle. And I can click on there. So the height is 15 and the width should be 35. Remember, if you want to change which box you put in your measurements in for your rectangles, you press the tab key. And then I press enter. Now what I need to do is to get rid of these parts here so that I've got somewhere for the phone to sit. So I press T for trim, and I can simply trim these sections. There we go. until I've got a section there. Now you may notice that it's still colored in gray, but if we go into the bodies menu, the first 3D panel that we put together is on. So you can turn that off and you may have you've got a clearer view there of what's going on. Okay. Now we need to put some holes for the sound to come out of. So what we're going to do now, on the same sketch, go to circle, and we're going to draw the circle from the center. Right, I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway, so I'll lock on the red line, and I'm just going to click anywhere for now, and I'm going to draw a circle, let's say about 55. Okay, enter. I'm going to do that again. C for circle is the shortcut, and then I'm just going to press 55. Now they are not symmetrical at the moment, they're not in the same place. So to make them a bit neater, let's go to D for dimension on the keyboard. I want to click the center, and then I'm going to click on that line. And you'll notice I get a measurement here, 35. Okay, and I'm just going to press enter for now. And then D for dimension again, click on the center of the circle, and then that line. And as you can see, they are different. So I can decide what distance I want it. Let's try 40. I think the 35 looks a bit better, so I'll just double click on there, 35, and they're the same. Okay. Right, now what we need to do is to get an area where the sound will travel from the phone to these holes here. So I'm just going to look at the bottom of my phone and find out where the speakers are. So I need, from the edge of the phone, I've got a 10mm gap. And then the speaker holes are 15mm. So I'm just going to draw a box. It's a bit of a guideline, so I'm just going to draw a box here. And I'm not too worried about the height, but I want a 10mm gap. Okay, and I do that again, rectangle. I could have used a straight line, but oops. 10mm. Okay, so these two boxes are just there, so I know where the speaker starts. So now I'm going to go to rectangle again, and I'm going to click here, and I need to go down I need to go across 15, and then tab, I'm going to go down, let's say about, where are we up to? Say about 20. Okay, enter. And I do the same here. Rectangle needs to be 15 across, tab, and then down, went about 20. Okay, so you can see there what we've kind of created. Rectangle again, and I'm going to now I'll make it 10. And I've just drawn it so it cuts into the circle. It doesn't matter how long, because we're going to delete that anyway. Now, just to clear things up a bit, because it's getting a bit complicated, a bit crowded, I'm going to start cutting away at these holes that I have created. And you can see there, we don't need that, we don't need that. Okay, what might be a good idea as well is when you have your measurements, just get them off the actual drawing. It'll make it a bit easier. You can just drag them off. So I'll do the same process again. Off a rectangle, we went down 10, and then I just dragged it across into the circle. You may be able to find a better way of doing this. You might find a more comfortable way of creating this shape. experiment. That's what DT is about. Okay, there we go. So although it looks a bit complicated with all the numbers and stuff on there, I can see clearly that I've created the profile I needed. So back to the create tab, E for extrude, and we are going to extrude this area out 10 millimeters. Again, new body. Okay, now when we turn the other body on, we can kind of see what we're working with. See that? Okay, one more layer. So we're going to go to create sketch again. And again, I need to draw the sketch on this surface. And this time, I will simply need to go to rectangle. And this was the benefit of using the center rectangle tool. You're always starting off in the exact same spot. It just makes it easier to work with. Now, what you can do for this here is to create some design if you want to. I mean, you could create, I don't know, it could be an arc. It could be, you could cut the corners off. So be experimental. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. So I'm going to draw a rectangle again, but I'm going to use this one at the background as a guide now. Luckily it sticks onto it, and then I'm going to press L for line, and I'm going to draw a little angle from there to there, and then same procedure, T for trim, or you can drop down into the menu here, and I'm going to get rid of all these bits that I do not need. Just remember, you can turn the lights off if it's confusing you as to what's active and what's not. Okay, and then it can go into the house mode again, and E for extrude. Now I'm going to click on that, and I've got to remember to click on these parts here now. What did I forget to do? Whoops, sorry. So let's go back. And then I'm going to put the circle in again. So C for circle. It will find the center of the circle for you. So if you just click on there, it'll do that. 55. Once you've already drawn something, you'll notice when I bring that across, see, it finds the center point for me. All right, so put those in. E for extrude. And then all the bits that I want. There we go. I can extrude that out now. 10 millimeters. And I don't want to join it. I want it to be a new body. Excellent. So there we go. That's a basic outline of what your design is going to look like. I've just noticed here that would need to be a bit higher. So what I can do is go into select, go into that third sketch that we did, right mouse click and edit the sketch. And I'm simply going to get a line and just draw a line across there. And I'm going to trim those bits off. Now that'll just stop the phone from slipping out. And then when I stop the sketch, oops, so once I've done that, sorry, I go to E, stop the sketch, and then go into the extrude panel here, edit feature, and I can just update that there. Just select that extra piece, and there we go. You can turn these on and off. So that's my first panel, just with the holes in. The second one is with the areas for the sound to travel. And the third one is just obviously the back panel. Now what you may want to do is to make sure select is Done. And then right mouse click and go to appearance. In the appearance tab, you can then go down to the various materials available. Now we have a mixture of teak and pine, which is, teak is more like a darker wood like mahogany and walnut, so you can use any of those. And we've got pine. You may want to use oak as your render. However, if I was to drag that and put it onto body number 2, you can do it here if you want to. And then I may have the lighter woods on the front and back. So we're going to laminate these. Okay. Now, you may want to cut off a particular corner of a panel or round things off. Just experiment and come up with a design that you'll be happy with. After you've done all that, you can have a bit of fun rendering as well. So if you go into the render mode, just close that down there. If you press the render tab, you can actually get to see the product in all its glory to load up, but you'll get a better representation of what's actually what product's going to look like. Hopefully this helps you get started. Now be creative, be experimental. This is just a basic outline. It'll be interesting to see what you guys with. However, you must stick to the fact that the pieces of material we have are 200 millimeters, 70 millimeters, and they are 10 millimeters thick. Okay, guys.